Hello and welcome to another episode of 4Tims and a Podcast. We're back, so are Celtic. We'll just get right into it. Yesterday seen us take on Hibs at Celtic Park. The game was meant to take place on the 29th. Obviously the winter break was moved forward, and luckily it was, because 60,000 fans were able to attend the game, which was fantastic. The new signings were able to play. We've seen a glimpse of all three. Obviously Hatate and Maeda played a bit more than Ideguchi. Andy, I'll just come right to you. Immediate impact for Maeda. I think 3 minutes 50 seconds on the clock, and he got his debut goal. Just the stuff of dreams, really, to see that hit the net so early on in his Celtic career.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a striker. You can't really pray for a better debut. It's exactly what you want on the pitch. Early goal. Took it well. A handful all night. He's bags and bags of pace. There was a couple of times where I think he nearly took one off the keeper's toes, and then a couple of times the way he was pressing, it was very similar to what we've seen for Kyogo already, but for my money, Maeda looked as if he had a yard or two more pace, which is actually quite surprising. I don't think it's the first or the last time we'll be seeing him hassling defenders, and I reckon both him and probably the team will be nicking a few goals off it. Obviously, one of your goals came for sort of a high press, taking the ball off one of the Hibs defenders, but I thought Maeda had a good game. I thought Hatate was fucking brilliant. I thought the team as a whole in the first half we were playing some exceptional stuff. It's a lot. I mean, that Hibs had a lot of possession. I've seen possession stats flung about a wee bit today. That doesn't surprise me. That Maloney's going to try and get them playing football, and none of this sort of prehistoric shite that you used to usually see for teams when they turn up at Parkhead and 10 men behind the ball and batter it up, hope for the best. Fair play to them. They tried to pass it at the back and have a bit of identity about how they played the game, but we were just a class above, particularly in that first half. At times, the passing, the way we were pressing, at times it was maybe, probably in the second half, maybe sort of fell apart a wee bit, but I think that's just with new players coming into the team and sort of learning, mostly the language as well, that doesn't help. I thought for the most part, the team were brilliant. I thought Starfelt had a great game. He's been criticised probably pretty harshly across the board. He was a bit wobbly when he first came, but I thought he's came on leaps and bounds since then, and I thought he dealt with Boyle really, really well. There was a couple of times where people were gasping because he thought Boyle was in behind, and the big man handled himself well. He was getting the foot in, and there was a few times he just took no shite, put the ball at the park, which a lot of people have been begging to happen. Carter Vickers, exactly as we expected, solid at the back. I thought Juranovic showed a lot of his qualities again. Taylor had a good game. Hatate, I thought, took a lot of pressure off McGregor, but that boy really does. He looks like he's just legalised robbery. What we've done to that mob, getting him for so cheap. Only 24-year-old young boy, years and years ahead of him. Hopefully that's Celtic, but way a pass, stunning. Left foot, right foot, first time passes. He was unlocking Hibs defence a few times. There was a few which a couple of Hibs defenders get a last ditch sort of interception in. I think he had a shot as well, which was unlucky. He caught just outside the box. But he just looks like he's going to be an absolute star in the middle of the park, and I don't think that's sort of jumping the gun to say that after one game. He really did look a great acquisition to the team. And then again, I thought Abada done well. People have been critical of him, but I thought he was having a go, and it really did get you excited for. I mean, that was a team with obviously a couple of new acquisitions in, but you're still jotted at the start. Kyogo's not there. There's a lot that's only got to improve. But buzzing to get back. Full house, good atmosphere by all accounts. Fans were up for it. I think when it gets taken away from you, we would have had that one a break anyway, but I think when it's taken away a bit sooner, it really does sort of whet everybody's appetite that bit more and realise what you're missing when it's the government that have taken that off. But right decision, everybody getting back in there, we're justified. Well, every team in the league bar two are justified in the decision. But buzzing, Tony, I must say, just Juranovic again, he is the penalty taker now. That can't be up for debate. Maeda getting his goal. I'm just buzzing to see what Ange's going to do now with more and more people coming back. You've seen Jota coming off the bench. Obviously, it was late on, but even I thought Ideguchi as well. I thought when he came on, Tony, like, for me, listen, he was only on 15 minutes or so you've not got too much really to work off it, but he put himself about. He was out of the park. There was a couple of times he showed as if he had a bit of needle, particularly one, I can't remember who it was against. It was just outside the Hibs box, and he was battling for the ball, and he had that about him as if he looked as if he was up for a fight in terms of the middle of the park, and that's probably what you're going to get because he's a sort of deeper midfielder, probably intercept and win the ball, and I was impressed with that for him, and looked as if he was quite happy to take a risky pass on and spray the ball about a wee bit, and it's good to see that for both Hatate and him because it will take pressure off McGregor in that role, Tony. But all around, I was really pleased, and I'm just looking forward to going forward. And I think it should mention as well, Jackie Marcus off the bench. I was buzzing. I was dying for him to get a goal, to be fair, because I think he needs it. But seeing him sort of ragdoll, I think it's Bashiri, the boy that Hibs got for Norwich, straight away the crowd reacted to it because he was a big boy, but I thought the big man came on, dealt really well, brought the ball down, looked eager to get involved, and it fills me with a lot of confidence going forward, Tony, that he was able to three options off the bench I've mentioned there in Jota as well, that you're really going to get a lot of competition for places now, and it's positive.
I mean, a lot of positives to take with last night. I think, as you say, about Hibs, you could see what Maloney was trying to do. There'll not be many teams that will come and actually keep the ball for such large spells against us. It doesn't usually happen, but that was obviously part of their game plan. I just don't think they're a good enough team or a good enough point in they're obviously their managerial overhaul to beat us or to be able to pass through us without getting punished or without pressing. And obviously we caught them out with the pressing for the first goal. Danny, the first half especially, it was a joy to watch for me. I thought it was just great. I thought real intent, and it could have been more.
The first half was everything that you were probably hoping for when after 3 weeks off I thought the whole team were really good, and it was a really controlled performance. I think if Hibs would have scored, we would have apparently scored again. I think if Starfelt's goal in the second half, Carter Vickers' goal in the second half would have stood, I think it would have been 5 or 6. First half especially, it's as if the team had been waiting a long time to produce a performance like that. It was brilliant, and that's what, I had a wee feeling that we would start like that because we started the first half of the season like that, coming out a couple of goals in early doors against teams, and I was kind of hopeful that we would do it again. But you just need to look at the Japanese boys. I mean, Maeda, he's absolutely rapid. I don't think he's actually broke into a sprint yet, and he's the quickest player I've ever seen. And after the first 5-10 minutes, I was like, no getting carried away with Hatate. He's had a good start. He looks like he's got a lovely range of pass on him, but what's better is he pings the ball into players. He was pinging the ball into players' feet and saying, right, I'll go take it, passing with purpose, which Big Ange said at the start of the season. And I kept the first 20 minutes, I was like, don't get carried away. For half time, I was like, this boy's fucking phenomenal. I was just really encouraging. I thought everybody played well. I thought Rogic toiled a wee bit. I thought it was a half step out the whole night. He kept trying and he kept going, but Hibs were obviously terrified of him because they wouldn't get half him any time he get the ball. But I just thought he struggled a wee bit. But I thought Taylor was immense, really good to see him. I thought his passing was really good last night. I thought Forrest was leaving him 2-on-1. It didn't really seem to bother him. Starfelt had a good game. I thought Carter Vickers was good as well. And Hibs had a lot of the ball. I thought Hibs played quite well from box to box. I thought in the boxes they were really poor. But it was really positive for Celtic, and you just need to look at that first half and say, well, look what happens when everything kind of clicks together, and you've still got Jota to come back into the team because he'll be starting every week when he's ready. Still got Kyogo to come back as well. I'm really excited, Tony, to see how we line up when everybody's fit now.
It was good to look at the bench, and then you could easily say, well, Jota could make an impact, Giamakis could make an impact. Looking forward to seeing Idaguchi. It was as opposed to going, who's this boy or who's that kind of thing. So no, I think that's what we've been obviously wanting to see with the January window, was adding quality as much as quantity, and it looks as though we've done that. Don't get me wrong, I would still like another 1 or 2 signings just to give even more cover if any injuries occur. Obviously Hatate get the man of the match. I thought he was excellent. It's great to see because it's not really, for me, usually when players come to Celtic they do take time to settle in, but since Postecoglou's come in, and I think at his signings, Kyogo hit the ground running, scored in his debut, Maeda the same, Hatate man of the match, and it's not as if he get man of the match just for kind of the sake of it because he's a new signing. It was well deserved. His passing and his play was excellent. Even Jota's hit the ground running, so I'm delighted. I think yesterday was a big test. There was massive pressure on us because everybody had us winning that game before a ball was kicked. All the fans had bummed up the new signings to the high heavens, and we were all very expectant. and after 25 minutes we'd won the game. And Hibs are probably one of the more difficult teams in the league. We've actually done well against them this season. We beat them at Easter Road, we beat them at the final, and now we beat them at Parkhead. And it's good that we managed, obviously it's the Easter Road hoodoo we managed to beat as well. So no, I'm happy for the manager. I give him a lot of credit. I feel as if I say this and then just repeat myself, but it's good to be repeating myself as opposed to getting off my head as we were this time last year repeating ourselves. But his signings are meaningful. They're coming in and making immediate impacts. They're making Celtic a better team, and that's so important. Some massive games coming up as well, and I'm sure we're going to need the squad for it. Danny, I've just come back to you. Probably the only downside is it looks as though Kyogo might be out for a few weeks. I don't really blame the manager. Maybe he shouldn't have played him against Betis. I can accept that, but I think when he took the risk with him against Hibs and St Johnstone, I can't really blame him, because with Kyogo, I don't think you'd win the final.
No, we don't, you're right. And I know it did only last about, was it 12 minutes or something against St Johnstone if it was that, but you know, the pressure was right on Ange after the draw with St Mirren. Nobody would have accepted no Kyogo, especially with the rumoured team that was going about for during Christmas and early Boxing Day. But I'm not entirely sure about this. I think Ange might just be playing up Kyogo's injury for two purposes. One, to keep the Japanese FA for picking him for these qualifiers, and just to spring a surprise and play him in the Rangers game. I think he's starting him and caught him well. Maybe that's more hope than anything else for me, but no, I don't think that he done it with, remember what game was it? Was it Leverkusen at home where they brought him and McGregor back in after saying that he wasn't getting players back? So maybe that's just hopeful for me going forward, but I think that I wouldn't be surprised if Kyogo popped up in that game. I don't think there's any real downside of last night. I think you came back, you've got the two boys that started that looked really good. You know, Hatate just bossed that game. I mean, there's one with about 2 minutes to go in the first half where he kind of stops Deed on the right wing, and Doig comes to him, and Doig's a fairly good player, and he doesn't even do any skill. He just traps his shoulder and gets by him, and then plays at the pass that he was going to play 10 yards earlier. He probably knew after about half an hour he was the best player in the park, and you know, you want him to get his confidence up early, and you know, I think the more that Maeda plays, he'll get more chances. I thought his movement was really good. He was always running towards the goal. That's something I've noticed with him and Kyogo. I'm not getting on at Forest, but one thing I always think about Forest is when we're attacking, he's always running away for the goal. And I think Edward was like that as well, to an extent. But you see, Maeda, you see Kyogo, Bada's good at it as well. They all run at the goal, and surely, you know, you'll score more goals going forward. But no, last night was really good. Second half was a wee bit flatter, but as I say, you get that for goal for Starfelt saying maybe again Carter Vickers, maybe they go on and rack up a couple more. Jackie Marcus, he's got this knack of coming on as a sub when the game's well away and looks good, and I don't know, I just don't know what it is with this guy. I don't know, I'd love him to start scoring goals and prove me wrong, and he looks like he could be handy when he comes on as a sub, and it'd be good if he could keep it up. Jota, good to see him back. Just it was only 10 minutes, but it's a big plus for us. I watched Gucci quite closely when he came on. I like it. Look at him, he follows the ball. Wherever the ball goes, he seems to be in about it, and we need players like that. And he's got a bit of discipline about him, unlike, you know, other players in the team that maybe get booked every week. So no, it was promising last night, and you can look forward to the cup on Saturday. I know I said earlier in the group chat that I'm kind of disappointed it's not a league game, because I'd like to get a bit of momentum going in the league game, but it is a good, you know, away to Alloa, it's a good chance for the new boys to kind of, without being disrespectful to Alloa, but fill their boots a wee bit in terms of getting amongst the goals.
I completely agree. We will touch on Alloa. Andy, I know you're the same as me. You want another signing in before the window shuts. There was obviously the talk of signing a boy, I think it's McCree, that ended up going to Middlesbrough, but Ange seemed to just kind of move on for that quite quickly. I think the main one was always going to be the three signings, Gucci, Hatate and Maeda. Where else would you like to see strengthen? For me, I didn't think Scott Bain would have got a new contract. I thought we would have went elsewhere, but you're hoping Joe Hart's going to be in goals for the next couple of years anyway. And I think you said you also wanted a left back, but again, I thought Greg Taylor was reasonably okay last night.
I mean, the Bain thing, I think just, I say, like, social media and Twitter, I feel like, is like could have been anything announced with certain players, and I get the thing behind the Scott Bain deal. It's not really something that shocked me or sort of came as I didn't really have any massive sort of anger about it, as some people are putting across. But again, I think a lot of that's just playing up for the socials a wee bit. But it makes sense, I suppose. Scott Bain's obviously happy enough to be the number 2 or the backup, and no sort of kick off about it. It's some players with it. It's goalkeepers. It's not really the same as other positions where, if you look at the Juranovic situation when he came in and Ralston was playing out his skin, best form of his life, you get opportunities as an outfield player. Other than as a goalie, your only real opportunity is going to come when you get to unless your keeper makes an absolute arse it week in, week out, or you come to a cup game. That's really it. Whereas Juranovic was in the team, he was in at left back, he was played in the middle of the park, he's played out right, and he staked his claim as getting in the park. Like, the goalkeepers don't really have the opportunities, so sometimes you just need to accept that you're going to be second string, and you're seen as the guy that's the backup to the main man, who's obviously Hart, and Bain's obviously happy with that. He's not going to be burning a massive hole in the wage bracket. To me, it makes sense. I'm not his biggest fan. I think there's a lot of flaws in his game, but Andrew's obviously happy enough with him. He's fairly decent with his feet. I suppose he's all right. He'd probably be the starting keeper for maybe 7 or 8 of the teams in the league. A couple at Seacrest and things like that. I would argue he'd probably start for the majority of teams in the league. So for me, the deal made sense. I can understand why we've done it, and if I'm just happy with him enough, then fair enough. But in terms of other positions, I thought people interpreted it a bit different for me. But when I read it in the Angie's comments, sort of emphasising how there's nobody else there, I thought that was more him just sort of trying to quash the usual silly transfer season rumours that Celtic get. You know what it's like. The papers have got somebody new every day, or this in the no knowledge, this pish digging up fucking names, and it always seems to be the same names. And you'll no doubt be fucking 5 minutes away for a Robbie Keane on loan rumours type of pish. It's always the same, and to me that just felt like him sort of stamping it down and probably making a lot of 2-bit journals, bin other news stories that were ready to go out the next day about who we were in for after the Australian boy. But other people read it as we weren't really going to bring other people in, which is, I suppose, is fair enough. But as I say, Tony, we were talking about it earlier, and for me, I would like to see a number 10. Obviously, it was the Australian boy, and Wolf was the other name mentioned, who I thought was probably sort of wishful thinking sort of stuff. I think MD that was really peddling that myth, strongly believing it was just never really going to happen. I'd be very surprised if we get anywhere near that boy. But I would like to see a number 10. I think it's a position we could do with and sort of put a bit of pressure on. I mean, I think it's Rogic's position to lose, but I'd like to see somebody there who's got that maybe that sort of Armstrong and Christie about him. I think that's what we're missing. A number 10 who's maybe a bit more athletic in that area and who can push Rogic, who I obviously am a massive fan of. And then, I mean, I said to you earlier, if I was being greedy, I would say a number 10, a winger and a left back. That's just not going to happen. You don't. It's just not the position we're in to be going out and doing that. And I think it would probably be hard to go out and sign even more players for boys in the team who are really coming onto a game. Though Greg Taylor did play well yesterday, but I would like to see a left back. I think it's one of the probably weaker areas in the team now, and again, it's only going to improve the standard and the performances. But I think we'll maybe get one more signing, Tony. I think that's probably the limit. I think the 3 were done early, and I think it's just the case that if we come across a deal that makes sense for both parties, and Ange's into it and the players up for it, we'll make it happen. I think there's maybe one in us, but as I said, if I had my hands on the pay packets and the big purse, then I'd be on to 3 signings. But I think we'll maybe get one, if I'm honest about it. And I reckon it'll maybe be a number 10.
If we could get 3 in, I'd be delighted. But I think you're right. I think we'll get one more. I'd love to see us sign up Jota and Vickers permanently, but I don't know if that's going to happen this window. It's been rumoured for long enough that it might. And then I expected us to get rid of quite a few more players, to be honest. But we have managed to put some players out on loan at Hibs, and I think Liam Shaw's at Motherwell. I quite like doing that. I think it works to get them familiarised with the league and get them some experience. I don't know if either one, if Liam Shaw's playing for Motherwell tonight. I would need to check, so best of luck to them with the loan moves. Danny, I'm not going to talk about this too much because I feel as though it's a kind of exhausted issue, but Lee Griffiths has had his contract paid up as far as I'm concerned, or he's no longer going to be a Celtic player very shortly. How would you sum up his time at the club? I mean, for me, raw talent, absolutely, but too many fuck-ups. A lot of horrendous stuff dating back far too long, and then even recently some of the stuff that came out was, I don't know how to say, just abhorrent and really ridiculous to get that new contract. I thought we should have paid him up back in July. The idea to give him the new contract was just so stupid in the first place. But a difficult question. How would you sum up his Celtic career?
Just before that, Shaw's not even in the Motherwell 20 of the night, so they must be biding their time to give him a game. With Griffiths, complete waste. Had so much talent, could put the ball in the net, but even when he was scoring 40 goals in a season for us, which, if you listen to some, it was only 6 months ago. It was actually 7 years ago now, 6.5, 7 years ago. It just wasn't good enough. Apart from that season under Dyla, where he scored tons of goals, and that, I would say every other season he wasn't good enough. And he played his way into the team under Dyla after Dyla had signed Gudetti, Skepovic, Stokes, and that was there. Played his way in, made himself number one. And then, he was number one under Dyla. Rodgers comes in, Dembele didn't really hit the ground running. As soon as Dembele get himself sorted, that was that. And still had people all the time saying they preferred Griffiths to Dembele, and then Edward came in, and it took Edward a wee while to get up and running, and then he get himself settled, and he was unbelievable, and you'd still people saying, I actually think we tea-cake's better than the two of them, and you just think that he had such a cult following by the end, that he was getting away with anything, and he went through his problems, and, we all wished him well back then, and he came back, but we need to be, just be honest, he came back I think he came back when Lennon first came back the second time. He was appearing, walking down the side of the pitch and that, and they were talking him getting on the bench for the treble cup final. And then that season he was fit, and he scored a free kick against, was a Estonian mob or something. It was he's back. And then he hardly played again that season. And I think he scored maybe at the start of the season, but you hardly seen him again. And people, and it was he's clearly no fit, and he wasn't doing anything to get himself fit. And I don't know if it was, we'd love to blame Neil Lennon, but I don't think you can blame Neil Lennon. It happened with too many managers throughout his career. And then just, and then he came back under Lennon after the winter break, and him and Edward struck a bit of a partnership up, and the next thing he was the best thing since sliced bread again. And people are saying last year of Griffiths and the team was 10 in a row, and you think, fucking game are these people watching? Obviously, the guy had unbelievable talent, he could score. The only motivation he would ever have needed is that he's playing for Celtic in Scotland. For years have known a good striker. All he had to do was keep himself fit, keep himself motivated, and he was probably Celtic's number one striker, and definitely Scotland's number one striker, and he couldn't do that. And then the last year, and then what he got up to last summer was a disgrace. The club should have sacked him, even though they gave him a new contract. They sacked him straight away. If you need to pay him up, you need to pay him up. To me, it was a matter of principle at that point. They should have let him go. And then he's went to Dundee, and folk, again, it's this 40 goal a season striker. You've got John Hartson fancying him for 25 goals. They're fucking ridiculous. Then you see what we're getting. Still get people saying, "Oh, it'd be good maybe to come back and get fit and get him fit. He scores goals." He's played against the teams that he would be playing if he was at Celtic, and he scored once or something. Scored a cracking free kick at Aberdeen, peachy a free kick, but I don't think he scored through open play. There's been a very well publicised tug of war between Celtic and Dundee, where they don't want him and we don't want him. And, he's probably highlighted this season was kicking a flare at St Johnstone fans. So, and he's horribly out of shape.
He just done that, Danny.
Yeah.
You're saying Dundee don't want him. Do you know, I still reckon there's fit Celtic fans out there who say get him back, get him fit, and he's the best striker. There's
people that think that he's going to, hit a treadmill for a week, and then next time he's going to start banging him in again. He's not scored consistently for Celtic since 2016. It's 2022. That's 6 years. Think of the way, I know we're going about it, but Sinclair, he dropped off for him out the door. Other players don't get the slack that Griffiths seemed to get over the last 6 years. He had a great season under Dyla, and it wasn't a great season. We won the league, but we weren't very good that year, and it was clear that we needed a change. Rodgers came in and the whole place elevated a level, and then he found himself out the team again. And he got injured, Dembele scored a hat-trick, never looked back, right? But Dembele was always taking his place in the team. There was never any fucking doubting it. But then his attitude over the Rodgers years was really disappointing. He scored in Boxing Day and he's pointing, I'm the man at the fan. I think it was his 4th goal that season or something. And he had all this talent, and he scored over 100 goals for Celtic. He should be revered, and he's part of a special club of players that have scored over 100 goals. But if you think about it, he's been there about 8 years this month that we signed him. And think of the competition that he had. Stokes, we were looking for somebody after Hooper. Stokes was there, and then you had the 2 Dyliers, and then you've got Rodgers. He should have double what he's got. And it's just a waste. I think if you sum it up, you'd say potential to be a hero at some point, and then he get in his own way and let us down. But I'll not be shedding any tears if it's true about him getting paid off. I wouldn't lose any sleep over it. I don't think he's necessarily going to come back and haunt us. I mean, I'll touch wood when I say that, but no, I just think it's something that should have happened. It should have happened probably, maybe not even last summer. It should have happened the summer before. When you're going for 10 in a row, you need everybody pulling on the same page, and he turns up overweight after lockdown and gets told he can't go to pre-season. Like, you should have just abandoned him then. They seem to think this tough love approach was going to work. I think Lennon thought that would inspire him, but nah, never. And look, 18 months later, look at the mess for him.
I think you're absolutely right, Danny. I think that I don't know what people were smoking at times when it came to him. He's, like you say, had that big season under Tyler, scored a lot of goals, but realistically, he's lived off that, which I think is fucking ridiculous. It's just been a joke that you're a guy that gets so much slack for so many fans about how he's this and he's that and he's the next thing, but how many times have you heard them questioning other players who turn up every day, who don't embarrass their club, don't embarrass themselves, keep themselves fit, don't report fucking stones and stones their weight? That doesn't happen, but it happened with him because he had one really good season under Ronnie. Just a disgrace. It's not before time. As you say, the minute he turned up in that condition, that'd have been me, I'd have been short of him. He'd had countless chances already, and we gave him countless more. Not before time. The fact to get a new deal was just some of the most ridiculous thing. That was just one of the most ridiculous things I've seen. I don't really think Andrew had anything to do with that. I'd be very, very surprised if it was him that sanctioned that deal. I think it was just probably those above thinking that it was the right thing to do when they're meddling in where they shouldn't be. That's what it struck me as. And again, I think the fact that we looked bad them to Dundee and they're wanting nothing to do with him, try to send them back. It really is just an example of the disgrace that he's left himself in. He could have been something long term. He could have been remembered very well, but didn't have the attitude for it, didn't have the application for it, didn't want it. Thought he was better than he probably is. Instinctive striker, but there was a lot of flaws in his game as well and things that he didn't want to work on. I think his attitude played a big part in that, and for me, as I say, happy to see the back here so we can go on with it and get working with players who want to be here, working with players that want to be at Celtic, that want to take on board what the manager's saying, that won't fucking embarrass us, that won't make an absolute arse of themselves. But Tony, happy to see the back of him, and hopefully it's the last time we'll be discussing Griffiths on this podcast.
I'm assuming it will be. I just wanted to touch on it. It's a shame that a guy that's contributed a lot over the years, and especially in his early career, for a lot of fans won't be remembered fondly at all for obvious reasons. So again, I think club done well to stand by him when he had his issues, and they were right to do so. And then he obviously came back with things like not getting fit, and then other instances of utter stupidity at worst, or at best utter stupidity. No, I think it's the right decision to move him on. I thought Ange handled the question really well. Just basically said a few words on his career, and that was it. Didn't cause any controversy. And it's very much now about the squad that we have and the people we have at the club at the moment. In terms of the playing squad, they obviously want to be here. They're working very hard. You could see that in the pitch, and they seem to be enjoying life under the manager. So, Siri Bailey, I think we'll move on to the Alloa game. Actually, has anybody read out Darren's message? If not, I'm happy to do it. So this is from Darren, who can't attend it just night as he's out for dinner. Happy birthday to Shannon from her favourite podcast. The Celtic were fantastic. Starfelt played well, but Carter Vickers is a real deal. Couldn't slag Taylor, but yet again played his cross into Abada that wins a penalty. Hatate is a real deal and is going to be a superstar. Shout out to Giamakis as well. Loved his impact. Celtic 4-0 on Saturday to get it right up that back pass merchant Barry Ferguson. So there we go. We've got a first prediction. Dan says 4-0 to the leather belts. Danny, what are you going for?
I think it'll be similar. I think it might be quite flat. I think Alloa will just sit in, try and not get beat. But obviously it's up to us to go and beat them. I think we will beat them. I don't think it'll be as good as the first half last night, but I do think we'll win. I think it'll be 4-0. I'll go with that. I'll go for Maeda to get 2. Jackie Marcus will get 1, and Hatate will score a screamer.
Andy?
I think we'll see quite a changed team. I reckon like you said, I think Hatate will probably play and even Maeda, but I think you might even say Maeda pushed out wide, maybe a front three or something like Johnston, Giamakis and Maeda. I reckon there'll be a wee bit of rotation in the team. Although they've obviously had a wee break there, there's going to be games coming up. I think we play sort of Hearts and then 3 days later Dundee United, and then again that would 29th, and then again play Rangers in the second. There's quite a tight bunch of games coming up through end of January into obviously February games, and then again right after still within the first couple of weeks of February we'll be playing in Europe against Bodo Glimt. So I think the manager's probably going to be mindful of that, and again there's people coming back for injuries. There's a few things. I reckon you'll see a couple of changes, things like maybe Scales might come in, Ralston will probably play at right back, maybe even Welsh at the back. I mentioned earlier about his cup games, your sub-keeper will maybe play, might see Scott Bain. I think there'll be changes. I think there'll still be a lot of first team players. You might even see Deguchi and Hatate sort of playing midfield together if he chooses to rest McGregor, for example. But again, there's going to be too much in that squad to really be too troubled by Alloa. I think the same. Alloa will be, as you would expect, they're going to sit in, they're going to try and not get beat. If they're getting beat, try and not get beat too heavily. I think they're quite loaded in League One this season, if memory serves me. Weirdly enough, I'm sure they're one of the teams that I think it might be one of their centre halves is away to the Cup of Nations, which is fucking amazing. But yes, I'm no massively worried about it. I think there'll be changes to the team. We'll see a change starting 11. Be one for sort of building up fitness, getting the job done. I'll go for 3-0, Tony. And actually, I've got to agree with Danny. I was going to say I reckon Hatate will go on the score sheet, but I also reckon Giacomakis will get a goal and hopefully he kicks on for that.
Alloa are 8th in League One, and I don't think they've won their last 6 games. So I'm the same. I'll go for 3-0. I think he will rotate. I would be surprised to see some of the big hitters starting. If Julian can play, I would definitely start him. Could be a good game for him to get back into. He'll get a lot of the ball, and hopefully he can get right back into it. It's a chance for Scales, chance for Welsh. Maybe bring Beaton in, and maybe even start Deguchi and give him the chance to really make an impact and get a full 90 minutes under his belt. And as you say, games are coming thick and fast. Really exciting time. Scottish Cup, and then we've got Hearts away, which is set to be a great game. Obviously, it was the first game of the season where we lost. It'd be good to go there and get some revenge. So, great games coming up. If you've made it this far, thanks very much for listening. Hope everybody's doing well, and we'll see you probably after the Alloa game, and hopefully it all goes to plan. See you bye now. Hail, hail.